Maybe since we do have a few minutes, I think maybe an unspoken question is, okay, this is all great, but change is hard. For many folks sitting in the audience, probably their workflows have been baked for years, and maybe I'll throw this to you, Alexander, and Sean, you can jump in because you supported GNL and others, but. Maybe tell just a real quick, what's the journey to VPUs? Like, what did that look like? And share the highs and the lows. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, so we looked into what do we need on the software side to it, because the hardware is one piece, you need to somehow access it. So we know that, the VPUs come with support for a low-level SDK, and they come with support for FFmpeg and GStreamer. And so we do use FFmpeg and GStreamer, but only to a certain extent. We think that for a commercial enterprisey application, this is not enough. We need more telemetry in it, we need more insight, we need more control. At the same time, we are pretty busy with orchestrating all that and interfacing it to the enterprise world, and designing the UI and working everything together. So we don't want to go really down dirty into the grid of the low-level SDK. So what we have decided to use is we are using a very versatile media SDK from Ideas called Norsk, and that allows us to rather transparently use either CPU or VPUs or GPUs. So the same software stack can move around. We can just choose what is most appropriate in a certain circumstance.
I would say, so I think, Alexander hit the nail on the head. And I think one of the things, what we see is that, we wouldn't want to put the onus on many of our customers in order to do this development. But luckily, most of our customers are using third-party solutions, whether that be a Bitmovin or a Harmonic or an ATEM. And so what we see is actually that the acceleration of the adoption of that platform will be through those services doing something very similar to Norsk, where the software is making decisions about what to use based off of what the customer is looking to do.
Oh yeah. Okay. So what my team did is they used traditional CPU encoding just with FFmpeg or with Norsk, and we did the same or as similar as possible with the VPUs. Why as similar as possible? Because the configuration is slightly different. It's a piece of hardware, so it does not have all the flexibility that you have in pure CPU encoding. So you can do much more in CPU only, but it's much slower then. So there is some trade-off in terms of the tweakability of what you can do with the VPU. But what we then did is we did VMAF scores. So for all tests that we did, and we have a huge test matrix that went through all the possible combinations, and my team spent weeks to get that up, and it's way too big to show here on a screen. But what they did is they did always an encoding job and then a VMAF job. Encoding job, VMAF job. And so we have a huge ladder of where we see which combinations of codecs and settings get us the same or better VMAF score than the equivalent software. So what we can safely say is the ladders and the configurations that we choose are at least as good as the software version in terms of quality.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And if anybody else is wondering about quality and data, NETINT, we have also all of our own data. And what we actually do, obviously we compile our own, we're an encoding vendor, but we really, we have your data. Some of our customer data, can't be shared directly, some of it can be. They've said, hey, no problem. I mean, this is our benchmarks. So if anybody else wants to, have a conversation about quality, we are in West Hall 3531. So when you walk into the hall, turn left, and we're sort of at the end there. Akamai is on the second floor, and you are meeting room 4,
right next to that walkway.
Yeah, it's there's a sign outside the door, but they're on the second, and you could definitely go in. GNL and Alexander and his team are in our booth. So if you come to NETINT, then you can talk to GNL, and we'd be happy to talk to you as well, obviously. So with that, I think we have to wrap. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience, and really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Cheers.